High in the icy peaks of the Himalayas, legends whisper of a creature feared and revered, the Yeti. Known as the Abominable Snowman, it's said to be half human, half beast, and older than any civilization that walks the earth. For centuries, monks, explorers, and scientists have searched for the truth behind this ancient mystery. Is the Yeti a lost species, a spiritual guardian, or something far more mysterious? Today, we expose the shocking secrets hidden in sacred monasteries, forgotten scrolls, and scientific evidence. This is Yeti Mystery Exposed. Himalayan secret finally revealed. The truth will change what you believe. 1. The legend awakens. High in the silent, snow-covered peaks of the Himalayas, where the wind howls like ancient voices and mountains pierce the heavens, whispers tell of a being unlike any other. The locals call it Mete. The world knows it as the Yeti, and Western adventurers have dubbed it the Abominable Snowman. For generations, the Yeti has been described as a massive, ape-like creature with shaggy white or brown hair, towering over humans, leaving behind enormous footprints in the snow. It is said to walk upright, with the strength of 10 men and the cunning of a hunter. But what if the Yeti is more than myth? What if hidden within Himalayan folklore, Buddhist monasteries, and ancient texts lies evidence that this creature once walked, and perhaps still walks, among us? 2. Ancient roots of the Yeti myth. Long before Western explorers set foot in Tibet or Nepal, the peoples of the Himalayas had already woven the Yeti deeply into their spiritual worldview. In Tibetan and Sherpa traditions, the Yeti is not simply a monster. It is seen as a spiritual being, sometimes protective, sometimes dangerous, a guardian of sacred lands and ancient secrets. The word Yeti is derived from Yeti, meaning rock thing, but its essence goes far beyond a physical description. Tibetan Buddhist monks have long spoken of Migoi, or mere god, meaning wild man, a being that lives close to nature and possesses great mystical power. In some monasteries, murals even depict a large, hairy humanoid figure standing beside sages and holy men, as if the Yeti itself were part of the spiritual landscape of the Himalayas. In one legend, the Yeti was said to have been created by a lama, or holy man, who sought to protect his monastery from evil. The creature, born of divine magic and mountain energy, became the silent guardian of the region, a being of both flesh and spirit. These stories hint that the Yeti is not merely an undiscovered animal, but something far more complex, a bridge between the natural and supernatural worlds. 3. The Western discovery. The modern world's obsession with the Yeti began in 1921 during the British Mount Everest reconnaissance expedition. Explorer Lieutenant Colonel Charles Howard Berry and his team reported seeing enormous footprints in the snow, far above the tree line, too large for any known creature. When local Sherpas were asked about them, they called them the tracks of Mitokami, which roughly translates to man-bear snowman. A mistranslation by journalists turned that phrase into Abominable Snowman, and a global legend was born. From that moment, scientists, adventurers, and journalists all wanted to be the one to solve the Himalayan mystery. In 1951, famed mountaineer Eric Shipton photographed strange footprints on the Menlung Glacier during another Everest expedition. The photos shocked the world. Massive, human-like prints stretched across the snow, deep and well-defined. Newspapers ran the story under headlines like, "Yeti Tracks Found in the Himalayas." And yet, despite countless expeditions and reports, no one ever captured a Yeti. But the evidence, tracks, relics, and testimonies kept mounting. 4. The monastic relics and the sacred skull. In the 1950s, explorers made astonishing discoveries inside remote Buddhist monasteries. At Pangbosh Monastery in Nepal, monks revealed what they claimed was a Yeti scalp, a strange, cone-shaped piece of hide covered with reddish hair. The relic was treated with reverence, locked away in a golden shrine, and only shown to outsiders on rare occasions. Western scientists and explorers who saw the relic described it as unlike anything known. Some thought it belonged to an unknown species of primate. Others dismissed it as a religious artifact. The famous mountaineer Sir Edmund Hillary, who first climbed Mount Everest, later organized an expedition to investigate the relics. DNA and hair tests were performed decades later, with mixed results. Some samples matched bears, others were inconclusive. Another monastery, Kumjung Monastery, possessed what they claimed to be a Yeti hand, skeletal remains with long, human-like fingers covered in dark hair. When Western scientists took samples for testing, they found the DNA didn't match any known species exactly. Some fragments resembled human DNA, but not entirely. This raised more questions than answers. Was the Yeti an unknown hominid, a prehistoric survivor, or a cleverly constructed relic blending human and animal parts for religious symbolism? The mystery deepened. 5. The science enters the scene. In recent decades, modern science has attempted to solve the Yeti puzzle using DNA analysis. In 2017, a groundbreaking study examined 9 samples of hair, bone, teeth, and skin that were said to belong to Yetis. The results were startling. Most samples matched Himalayan brown bears and Tibetan blue bears. For skeptics, that was the end of the story. Case closed, they said. But not everyone agreed. The problem was that a few samples didn't perfectly match any known bear species. There were genetic anomalies, slight differences that hinted at either an extinct lineage or a hybrid unknown to modern biology. Moreover, researchers pointed out that folk memory often blends truth and myth. The people of the Himalayas live side by side with these animals. They know what bears look like. The fact that they distinguish Yetis from bears in their stories suggests that the Yeti myth might have emerged from encounters with something different, something rare. Some anthropologists propose that the Yeti could be a surviving relative of Gigantopithecus, a giant ape that lived in Asia hundreds of thousands of years ago and is believed to have stood up to 10 feet tall. If even a small population of such creatures survived in the remote Himalayan valleys, where human presence is minimal and visibility poor, could that explain the ancient stories and modern sightings? 6. Ancient texts and the hidden connection. Beyond fossils and footprints lies another clue: ancient scripture. Tibetan and Nepalese spiritual writings describe forest beings who lived before humankind's moral corruption. These beings, half animal and half divine, were said to retreat to the mountains when humans became violent and greedy. In the Bon religion, the ancient faith of Tibet before Buddhism, there are references to Michu, or snow beings, who dwell in the high passes and serve as guardians of the earth's balance. They were believed to punish those who disrespect nature and protect the sacred silence of the mountains. Could it be that the Yeti legend preserves memory of an earlier species of intelligent being, perhaps even an ancient offshoot of humanity that chose seclusion over domination? In this sense, the Yeti becomes more than a monster or missing link. It becomes a symbol of hidden wisdom, a reminder that the mountains guard secrets far older than civilization itself. 7. Modern sightings and evidence. Even in the modern age of satellites and smartphones, reports of the Yeti continue. In 2019, the Indian Army claimed to have discovered large footprints measuring 32 inches long near the Makalu base camp in Nepal. Photos were released publicly, reigniting global fascination. Local Sherpas confirmed that the area was known for Yeti sightings, mysterious cries at night, trees shaken by invisible hands, and enormous shapes glimpsed through the snow. Skeptics attributed the prints to overlapping animal tracks, but witnesses remained convinced that they had encountered something extraordinary. Meanwhile, in Bhutan, locals report encounters with a similar creature known as the Megoi, said to possess the ability to become invisible at will. Hunters and herders tell stories of sudden storms and strange howls that follow sightings, as if the mountains themselves react to the Yeti's presence. Could the Yeti possess abilities beyond our understanding? Or do such tales simply express the awe and fear humans feel toward nature's untamed power? 8. The psychological and cultural mystery. The Yeti may also reflect something deeply human, our desire to believe that not everything in this world has been mapped, measured, and explained. To the Sherpas and Tibetans, the Yeti is not a horror. It is a sacred being, a manifestation of the wild spirit. Its existence reminds them that the mountains are alive, watching, and worthy of respect. For Western explorers, the Yeti became a projection of the unknown, a puzzle to solve, a frontier to conquer. But for the people of the Himalayas, the Yeti was never meant to be captured. It was meant to be honored. This clash between science and spirituality reveals something profound. Some mysteries are not meant to be fully exposed, only understood in reverence. 9. The hidden Himalayan secret. When we strip away the headlines, the hoaxes, and the sensationalism, we are left with something enduring, a legend that refuses to die because it carries truth within it. The Himalayan secret may not be a single creature hiding in the snow, but the truth that our world still holds mysteries beyond our control. The Yeti symbolizes the boundary between human knowledge and nature's vastness. Every time we look at the frozen peaks and wonder what walks there, we are acknowledging that we do not and cannot know everything. Yet perhaps the real secret lies even deeper. Ancient monks spoke of mountain spirits who test human hearts. Those who approach with arrogance find only storms and silence. Those who come in humility might glimpse something extraordinary, a shadow, a footprint, a reminder that life extends far beyond our comprehension. The Yeti, then, may be the guardian of mystery itself, a symbol that keeps humanity humble before the majesty of creation. 10. What the Yeti teaches us today. In our modern world of satellites, science, and instant information, we often believe that nothing remains unknown. Yet the Yeti reminds us that the Earth still keeps secrets. There are still places where myth and reality blur, where ancient wisdom whispers through the wind. The Yeti story challenges us to respect what we cannot explain, to see that truth often hides behind legend. Whether the Yeti is a lost ape, a sacred guardian, or a symbol of the wilderness, it speaks to something eternal within us, the longing to reconnect with the primal, untamed world. For the Himalayan people, the Yeti is not an enemy to hunt, but a reminder to live in harmony with nature. Its legend tells us to tread lightly, to remember that the world's greatest mysteries are not meant to be conquered, but understood. Perhaps that is the true Himalayan secret, that in our search for monsters, we rediscover our own humanity. 1. The enduring echo of a legend. Every few years, as if summoned by the mountains themselves, the Yeti returns to global attention. A strange footprint found in fresh snow. A blurry photograph taken at dawn. A hair sample that refuses to match any known species. Each new discovery rekindles the question that has haunted explorers, monks, and scientists for nearly a century. Does the Yeti truly exist? From the frozen ridges of Nepal to the remote valleys of Tibet, the whispers persist. The Yeti watches from the shadows. It is not just a tale told by campfire light. It is an enduring mystery that has survived science, skepticism, and time itself. The world has changed. Satellites orbit the Earth. Drones map every valley. Yet the Yeti remains unseen, just beyond reach, like a ghost that refuses to fade. Why does this mystery endure? Why does humanity, in an age of reason, still crave belief in the unknown? 2. New evidence, old questions. In recent decades, technological advances have brought the legend into the laboratories of modern science. DNA sequencing, satellite imaging, and high-altitude field expeditions have been deployed to answer an ancient riddle. In 2013, Oxford geneticist Brian Sykes conducted one of the most ambitious studies ever on alleged Yeti remains. He gathered hair samples from monasteries, private collections, and climbers who claimed to have encountered the creature. The results startled even the scientists. 2 of the samples matched the DNA of an ancient polar bear, not known to exist in the Himalayas. For a moment, the world thought the truth had surfaced, that the Yeti might be a hybrid species of prehistoric bear, a living fossil surviving in the high, uninhabited snowfields. But further studies complicated the picture. Later tests showed variations in the DNA that didn't fully align with any known bear species. Something or someone out there didn't quite fit the catalog of modern biology. In 2019, the Indian Army released photographs of massive footprints discovered near the Makalu base camp, measuring over 80 centimeters in length. Soldiers described the prints as humanoid yet distinctly non-human. The news made international headlines, reigniting the Yeti debate. Skeptics pointed to overlapping bear tracks or melting snow distortion. But those who lived beneath the Himalayas had a different explanation. They had seen, heard, or felt the Yeti long before scientists brought their instruments. To them, the footprints were not evidence of a myth, but proof that their stories had always been true. 3. Testimonies from the roof of the world. Among Sherpa elders, tales of the Yeti are told not as legends, but as memories. Hunters speak of massive shapes glimpsed between ridges, of strange calls that echo through snowstorms, of mornings when enormous tracks circle their camps. A Sherpa monk from Khumbu once recounted how, as a child, he saw a large figure standing upright on a distant slope at dusk, dark fur glistening, arms long, movements deliberate. When he pointed, the elders silenced him and bowed their heads in prayer. "Do not call its name," they warned. "It hears and it remembers." Such testimonies are not isolated. From Bhutan's Migoi to Tibet's Mirgod, across cultures and languages, a common description emerges: a tall, hairy, human-like creature that lives in the most sacred and inaccessible parts of the mountains. Always solitary, always watching. These oral traditions, passed through generations, are more than superstition. Anthropologists recognize them as cultural memory, fragments of encounters preserved through story. When multiple cultures across vast distances describe nearly identical beings, separated by geography yet united by imagery, it hints that the myth was born from something real. 4. The Yeti and the modern mind. Why, in an age of satellites and DNA testing, does the Yeti refuse to vanish? Part of the answer lies in the human psyche itself. The Yeti represents what modern life has nearly lost: mystery. In a world that can be mapped by GPS and explained by science, the Yeti stands for the untamable unknown. It reminds us that there are still places where human logic falters, where nature holds its secrets close. Psychologists have long noted that myths like the Yeti serve as mirrors of fear and fascination. The snowman embodies the wilderness itself, beautiful, vast, and indifferent to human ambition. It is both a monster and a teacher, reflecting our awe and anxiety toward the natural world. In the 20th century, the Yeti became a pop culture icon, appearing in films, cartoons, and folklore books. But for those who live under the shadow of Everest, the Yeti has never been entertainment. It is part of the living landscape, as real as the wind that roars through the passes. Thus, every new photograph or footprint is not merely news. It's a conversation between ancient faith and modern curiosity, the sacred and the scientific continuing their eternal dance. 5. Between science and spirit. Modern researchers often struggle to fit the Yeti into a scientific framework. They ask, is it an ape? A bear? A myth born of fear? But in Himalayan belief, such categories are too narrow. The Yeti is not only a creature, it is a spiritual presence. In Tibetan Buddhism, stories describe the Yeti as a protector of monasteries, a being born from the compassion of enlightened lamas to guard the mountain paths. To harm it is considered bad karma. To see it is a sign of spiritual imbalance or awakening. A few monks even keep relics, hair tufts, skull fragments, or hand bones, believed to belong to these beings. Western expeditions have often taken samples of such relics for study, but to the monks, these items are not curiosities. They are sacred reminders that life extends beyond human understanding. This clash of worldviews, one analytical, one spiritual, ensures that the Yeti mystery remains unsolved. For science, absence of proof means non-existence. For faith, mystery itself is the proof, a sign that not all truths can be measured. 6. Lost species or living relic. Another thread in this ongoing mystery is evolutionary. Some scientists propose that Yeti legends may preserve memory of ancient hominids, species that once shared the earth with us. The most compelling candidate is Gigantopithecus blacki, a giant ape that roamed parts of Asia hundreds of thousands of years ago. Fossils suggest it stood up to 10 feet tall and weighed over 1,000 pounds. Its extinction remains unclear. Could isolated descendants have survived in the inaccessible Himalayan valleys, evolving and adapting across millennia? Skeptics dismiss this as fantasy. Yet paleontology often surprises us. Until recently, no one believed modern humans coexisted with Neanderthals. Then DNA proved otherwise. Entire species, such as the Denisovans, were unknown until a single finger bone rewritten human history. If one small fossil could change our understanding of our ancestors, why couldn't a living relic remain hidden in the world's most remote mountain range? The Himalayas cover more than 1.5 million square miles of some of the planet's least explored terrain. Vast forests, deep ravines, and endless glaciers could easily conceal small populations of elusive creatures. The possibility may be slim, but it is not zero. And that slim possibility keeps the fire of curiosity alive. 7. The modern expeditions. Despite decades of research, explorers continue to risk their lives seeking evidence. In 2008, a Japanese team spent weeks in the Dhaulagiri region, where locals reported Yeti sightings. They returned with plaster casts of enormous footprints, 5 toes, human-like, and video footage of an upright figure moving across a ridge. The footage was inconclusive, but intriguing. In 2011, a team of Russian and American scientists investigated the Kemerovo region of Siberia after local hunters reported similar beings, large, hairy, and bipedal. While the location was far from the Himalayas, the descriptions mirrored Yeti accounts almost perfectly. Even today, mountaineers and trekkers upload videos showing massive tracks in snow or dark shapes moving across distant slopes. Most can be explained: snowmelt, bears, shadows, but a few defy easy classification. And each time that happens, the legend grows stronger. It is as though the Yeti wants to remain just out of reach, close enough to be believed, distant enough never to be proven. 8. The voices of the mountains. For the people who call these mountains home, the debate is not about proof, but respect. The Yeti is a keeper of balance. It punishes arrogance, protects sacred lands, and reminds humans of their smallness before creation. Stories tell of travelers who mocked the Yeti and vanished in snowstorms. Others, who offered prayers, were spared from avalanches. The creature, they say, is neither good nor evil. It is the conscience of the mountains. Such beliefs are not meant to be tested, but honored. When outsiders come searching with cameras and traps, the locals often warn them, "You may find nothing," because the Yeti lets itself be seen only when it chooses. Perhaps that is the heart of the mystery. Not that the Yeti hides, but that it reveals itself only to those who approach with reverence. 9. What science still cannot explain. Despite advances in genetics and zoology, a handful of enigmas persist. Some hair samples tested from Nepal and Bhutan have yielded mitochondrial DNA sequences that do not perfectly match any catalog species. Others show patterns consistent with hybridization, interbreeding between two types of bears, or between a bear and an unknown lineage. In 2021, environmental scientists, using bioacoustic recorders in the Gauri Shankar Conservation Area, captured deep, resonant vocalizations unlike any known Himalayan animal. They were not wolves, not bears, and not human. The recordings remain under study. Could such anomalies be coincidence, or traces of a species science has yet to document? The truth is that discovery itself is rare in these regions. Less than 5% of the eastern Himalayas have been scientifically surveyed. Each year, new insects, frogs, and plants are found, sometimes even new mammals. Why not something larger, smarter, older? Until the mountains yield all their secrets, the Yeti will remain both possibility and legend, the perfect intersection of curiosity and humility. 10. Why the mystery must endure. Perhaps the real reason the Yeti endures is that it must. Humanity needs mysteries. Without them, wonder dies. The Yeti's continuing presence in our imagination is proof that even in an age of technology, there is still space for awe. It teaches us that the unknown is not our enemy. It is the mirror of our longing to understand. Whether or not the Yeti exists in flesh and bone, it exists in meaning. It is the voice of nature reminding us that we are guests here, not masters. The Himalayas themselves seem to echo that truth, vast, silent, and eternal. Each new footprint, each DNA sample, each whispered story renews our dialogue with mystery. And maybe that dialogue is what matters most. For the people of the mountains, to believe in the Yeti is not superstition. It is an act of reverence toward a world still capable of surprising us. 11. The shadow and the snow. Imagine, for a moment, standing on a high Himalayan ridge at night. The wind roars like ancient chants. The stars burn close enough to touch. Then, across the snow, you see a movement, slow, deliberate, immense. For an instant, two eyes reflect the moonlight, then vanish into the white. Was it a bear? A trick of the light? Or something else entirely? That moment of uncertainty, the space between knowledge and wonder, is where the Yeti lives. Not just in the mountains, but in the human soul. As long as someone stands beneath those stars and wonders what walks beyond the ridge, the Yeti will live on, part legend, part truth, entirely mysterious. Conclusion. Every few years, a photograph, a footprint, or a strand of hair rekindles the world's fascination. Scientists test samples. Mountaineers tell stories. Locals whisper warnings. And somewhere high in the snow, the Yeti watches from the shadows, unseen, yet forever present. The mystery continues because it reflects something timeless. The human hunger to know, and the humility to admit that some things remain beyond knowing. The Yeti's secret, perhaps, is not that it hides from us, but that it teaches us to keep searching, to keep believing, and to never let the world lose its sense of wonder. The Yeti may still hide among the silent peaks, but its mystery continues to echo through time. Whether a lost creature, a guardian spirit, or a symbol of humanity's fear and wonder. The Yeti reminds us that not all mysteries are meant to be fully solved. Perhaps the truth lies not in footprints or fossils, but in the ancient bond between humans and the unknown. If this journey through the Himalayas opened your mind, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more hidden truths and untold legends. Until next time, keep searching for what lies beyond the scene.